and it's going to be, they're coming in, they're taking treasure, they're taking jobs when they do that, and they have to pay. And they don't have to pay if they come in and create their own jobs. If they do their product here, if they build their product or make their product in the United States, we have absolutely no tariffs, and we welcome people. But we're taking in a lot of money from tariffs, and our country is getting stronger all the time because the other was not sustainable.
Started with China. Are you going to play hardball with them? Are you going to mention COVID?
Well, I'm not going to say. No, I'm not going to mention COVID. I'm not going to say, I'm going to play hardball with China. I'm going to play hardball with you, President Xi. No. We're going to be very nice. They're going to be very nice, and we'll see what happens. But ultimately, they have to make a deal because otherwise, they're not going to be able to deal in the United States. And we want them involved, but they have to, and other countries have to make a deal. And if they don't make a deal, we'll set the deal because we're the ones that set the deal. Scott and Howard and myself and others, we're going to be setting the deal, and it'll be a fair deal for everybody. And it'll be, I think it's a process that's going to go pretty quickly. We've spoken to many, many countries, and we're getting their views on things. There are a lot of things. They have VAT taxes. They have everything you can have. Don't forget, as an example, the European Union was set up to take advantage of the United States. That's why it was set. And they've done that, but they're not doing that anymore. Yeah.
Will you prevent
Hamas from
man,
it's been like 5 green lights and we haven't moved.
Gaza, and will Hamas have to be permanently eradicated for a ceasefire to be reached?
Well, we're not going to let Hamas do that, and we're going to see what happens with Gaza. But we've made a lot of progress in the Middle East. Tremendous. Should have never happened. That date, that very special date, October 7th, should have never happened. It would have never happened if I were president. But we'll be stopping that whole situation. Yeah.
Earlier today, Treasury Secretary Dustin suggested that the tariff rate as high as they are now is effectively an embargo of trade between the United States and China. Do you see that?
That's true. 145% is very high, and it won't be that high. It's not going to be that high. It got up to that. We were talking about fentanyl, where various elements built it up to 145. No, it won't be anywhere near that high.
What level do you think it'll come down to?
It'll come down substantially, but it won't be zero. It used to be zero. We were just destroyed. China was taking us for a ride.
They were taking our lunches.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We're going to be very good to China, have a great relationship with President Xi, but they would make billions and billions and billions of dollars a year, and they would build their military out of the United States and what they made, so that won't happen. But they're going to do very well, and I think they're going to be happy, and I think we're going to live together very happily and ideally work together. So I think it's going to work out very well.
What kind of car
But no,
is
it's at 145%. They
idea
will
what
not
that
be
is.
anywhere near that number.
On the work that your team is doing on the border, are you happy with the rate of deportations right now?
Oh, it's amazing what they've done on the borders. Thank you for the question, because honestly, it's one of the great successes. We have virtually nobody coming in illegally. We do have people coming in legally because we want people to come in, but we have nobody coming in through the border virtually. We were having hundreds of thousands of people a month come in under Biden, and they came in from prisons, they came in from mental institutions, they came from gangs in Venezuela and other countries all over the world, not just South America. They were emptying their prisons into the United States. Venezuela emptied its prisons out, but many countries emptied their prisons into the Congo, as an example, in Africa, emptied their prisons into the United States, and we're getting them out. And I hope we get cooperation from the courts, because, we have thousands of people that are ready to go out, and you can't have a trial for all of these people. It wasn't meant, the system wasn't meant, and we don't think there's anything that says that. Look, we are getting some very bad people, killers, murderers, drug dealers, really bad people, the mentally ill, the mentally insane.
That shit hit.
They emptied out insane asylums into our country. We're getting them out, and a judge can't say, no, you have to have a trial. The trial's going to take 2 years, and no, we're going to have a very dangerous country if we're not allowed to do what we're entitled to do.
Yeah.
and I won an election based on the fact that we get them out, and we've done an amazing job. Look, we've stopped. Everybody admits, even the radical left, we have got the strongest border we've ever had, even stronger than what I had it for 4 years. We had a great border. We solved the problem, but it's a tad stronger, which is, I don't know if that's disappointing or not to me. I beat my own record, but I appreciate the question. Thank you, Daniel. Well, thank you, Daniel. The question is about prices. The prices are going down, not going up. One of the big things is energy is going down. I see that we had a couple of states where gasoline was at $1.98 a gallon. Nobody thought they'd see that
Cheap,
for
it was cheaper than that. It was
years, maybe.
$1.67.
And that's a big thing. And we opened up our
We're in
wells. We opened up our
2006.
drilling. We have more
We're in
product now for
2006.
sale.
Fuck you. We'll go
And
faster,
we're
go
also
around
going to be
again.
selling outside of the country to a large extent. It's going to bring down our deficits, largely going to bring down our deficits. But if you remember my first week, I was standing here, Paul, and they were screaming about eggs. The cost of eggs have gone through the roof. They were up like 500, crazy, like 4 or 5 times. And we won't have eggs for Easter, they were saying. There will be no eggs. You can't order eggs. They wanted us to order plastic in the shape of eggs. Well, yesterday we had 48,000 people at the Easter hunt. They call it the Easter roll at the White House. And we had all eggs. And as you know, the cost of eggs has come down like 93, 94% since we took office. And they're pretty much normally priced now. Great job. Our Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, did a very good job. But groceries have come down. It's all coming down. The only thing that hasn't come down, but it hasn't gone up much, are interest rates. And we think the Fed should lower the rate. We think that it's a perfect time to lower the rate. And would like to see our chairman be early or on time as
And
opposed
that's
to
when you
late.
refinance, when they
Late's,
lower the
late's
rate.
not good.
Mr. President, you said
I don't want to talk about that because I have no intention of firing him.
Mr. President, there are reports that you're considering doing something for moms across the country, giving them some type of bonus whenever they have a child. Are you considering that, or?
Sounds like a good idea to me. Yeah, please.
Just to be clarified, you have no intention of firing Jerome Powell, because here, Economic Advisor Hassett a few days ago said that you and people in the White House were studying this idea. of
Man, this guy in the blue car, he likes honking his fucking horn a lot. Look at
Not
that jack
whatsoever.
off.
Never did. The press runs away with things. No, I have no intention of firing him. I would like to see him be a little more active in terms of his idea to lower interest rates. This is a perfect time to lower interest rates. If he doesn't, is it the end? No, it's not. But it would be good timing.
Those
She could
look
have
like
taken
some
place
miserable
earlier.
people in that
But no,
blue
I have no
car.
intention to fire him.
They look like Democrats.
I don't want to comment
They
on
look
that. That doesn't
miserable.
matter.
Mr. President, you said, when can we expect the Epstein documents to be released? The rest of them?
Which documents?
The Epstein files?
I don't know. I'll speak to the Attorney General about that. I really don't know. I know that we've done the RFK. The Kennedy, Martin Luther King is out there very shortly, so we'll find out. But we've really announced.
Release the UFO files.
We're
Trump.
doing them in full
Area 51. I
transparency.
want to
You
know
know,
what's
when
been
we
going
did
on there.
JFK, people were saying, "Oh, maybe it wasn't all; it was all," and people actually went up to the office and they looked at
Oh,
some
wow,
things
that's not
that
a new
were,
building.
not really easily available, and they were amazed that we gave it all. And I don't know if it solved any problems for people. People still have questions one way or the other, but that I'm not. But 100% of all of these documents are being delivered. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, you said you're ultimately going to make a deal with China, but where do things stand right now? Have you talked
I
to him?
think
The
my
Secretary-
relationship,
There's gonna be a
yeah,
slog.
my relationship with President Xi is great. It's been great for a long time. We've had a very good relationship, and I think we'll make a deal with China.
Mr. President, in his meeting with
If we don't make a deal, we'll set it. We'll just set the number, and I think they'll want to be a part of the United States. We're doing great. This is the golden age, as Paul said. We're talking about the golden age. There will never be a time like this, in my opinion, and China wants to be a part of that too.
Mr. President, in your meeting with the investigation firm,
stop letting China steal our lunches, and that's what China's doing. I mean, they're not literally stealing our lunches, but essentially they are stealing our lunches.
I'll keep that to myself. Very personal.
Are you concerned about the impacts of tariffs on West Coast ports, which have seen a sharp drawdown in Chinese imports?
No, I think that everyone's going to do well in this country because of tariffs. We have $7 trillion of investment already. You can go back many years, and for a whole year they haven't had anywhere near that. Mostly they'd be well under $1 trillion of investment.
Whatever. The
And we've got $7 trillion. We really started 5 weeks ago.
spring coming out?
And in just a few weeks, literally, we have $7 trillion, which is a record for a year. There's never been a year with that much. And that's coming in, I think, for two reasons. It's coming because of an election that people like,
Man, their whole
and it's
spring
coming
is
in
like
because of
fucking
tariffs. And
broken
if you look at
backwards.
Apple's going to start building here. Right now, they're in China mostly. $500 billion. We have all of the computer chip companies are coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen before, as you know. Jensen came in for $500 billion. You saw that. A great guy, highly respected. Mr. Wei coming in for $250 billion. Nobody's ever seen anything. And the auto companies are coming in. I can name 8 right now already, auto plants that are either starting or about ready to start construction. There's never been, and the United Auto Workers and the non-union workers in the automobile industry, they love Trump, and I love them. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Congratulations, Paul.
Well, that's it for that. Let's go to this. Hold on. I gotta let the commercial skip. There we go. Skip commercial.
on Friday morning and returned to the United States on Saturday evening following the funeral service. I can also confirm the dates of the president's trip to the Middle East. He will travel to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates from May 13th until May 16th. And on Thursday of this week, President Trump will welcome Norwegian Prime Minister at the White House for a working visit. The two leaders will discuss trade and regional security. This will be the 13th head of state visit of President Trump's term already. At the border, President Trump continues to deliver on his promise to make America safe again. The Wall Street Journal captured the Trump effect in a recent article. Border crossings grind to a halt as Trump's tough policies take hold. U.S. Customs and Border Protection recorded its lowest southwest border crossings in history in March. And we're seeing the same successes at our northern border. Here's how the New York Post put it. Northern border sector previously overrun by illegal migrants sees dramatic drop in crossings. We haven't seen anyone since November, end quote. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, just 54 illegal aliens were apprehended in the Swanton sector of our northern border, which stretches more than 300 miles in March. This is a drastic 95% drop from the more than 1,000 border crossings that were caught in March 2024. This is a main hotspot area that recorded more than 80% of all apprehensions along the northern border during the 2024 fiscal year. And new reporting from the Washington Times fully highlights the difference in Joe Biden's
That's a V8 Charger. I thought they were coming through the intersection.
graceful approach to the border compared to President Trump's. Under Trump, border catch and release has dropped 99.99% from worst Biden month. You can't get much better than that. This statistic in particular is astounding. Border Patrol agents caught and immediately released 189,604 illegal aliens into the United States in December 2023 at the height of the Biden border crisis. But under President Trump, Border Patrol agents caught and released only 20 illegal aliens into the U.S. in the month of February. Thanks to President Trump, operational control of the border is becoming a reality, and the administration's historic enforcement measures are yielding huge results. Illegal aliens are finally getting the blunt message. If you cross the border illegally, you will be swiftly deported and never return to the United States of America. Efforts to arrest the criminal illegal alien invaders are continuing to ramp up. ICE Chicago arrested a Mexican national convicted of...
Hey, they're finally using the right word, invaders. Now, what happened in Chicago?
predatory sexual assault of a child in Cook County, Illinois.
Oh, wow.
This week, ICE Denver arrested a
pedophile.
Mexican national convicted of sexual assault of a child in Houston County,
Another
Texas.
pedophile.
ICE Miami arrested a Nicaraguan convicted of aggravated battery in Hillsborough County, Florida. ICE Houston arrested a Salvadorian national convicted of attempted sexual assault of a child in Escape in Dallas County, Texas.
Damn, why are they all pedophiles?
And ICE Chicago arrested a Mexican national convicted of aggravated sexual abuse of a minor in Illinois. Despite the Democrats' insane objections,
Another pedophile.
President Trump will continue to embolden law enforcement officers to arrest dangerous legal alien criminals and keep our communities safe. And also, thanks to President Trump's America First economic approach, investments continue to pour into our country. Swiss Pharmaceuticals Company announced they will be investing $50 billion in the United States over the next 5 years, creating 12,000 new quality jobs. Regeneron Pharmaceuticals also agreed to pay Fujifilm Technologies more than $3 billion over the next decade to help manufacture its medicines in the United States. It's a top priority for President Trump to ensure we are producing critical medicines and pharmaceutical drugs right here in America, and that is exactly what we continue to see happen every day. In other news, the Trump administration has announced we will put an end to Joe Biden's illegal student loan bailout attempts. No student loan has been referred to collection since March of 2020. That comes to an end. On May 5th, the Department of Education will resume involuntary collections for borrowers with defaulted federal student loans. The student loan portfolio controlled by the federal government is nearly $1.6 trillion.
Damn.
But fewer than 4 out of 10 borrowers are in repayment. This is unsustainable, unfair, and a huge liability for American taxpayers. Debt cannot be wiped away. It just ends up getting transferred to others. So why should Americans who didn't go to college or went to college and responsibly paid back their loans pay for the student loans of other Americans? The Trump administration will never force taxpayers to pay student loan debts that don't belong to them. Student loan borrowers need clarity, and we're finally giving it to them. Borrowers will now be clearly expected to repay their loans, and those who default on their loan obligations will face involuntary collections. The government can and will collect defaulted federal student loan debt by withholding money from borrowers, tax refunds, federal pensions, and even their wages. America is $36 trillion in debt. We must get our fiscal house in order and restore common sense to our country. If you take out a loan, you have to pay it back. It's very simple. President Trump will not kick the can down the road anymore. Before we open it up to questions today, I want to commend our pool photographer who is in the room with us today. ABC News photojournalist Melissa Young is retiring after
Seriously, dude?
44
Echo
incredible
Valley.
years on the job, covering here at the White House. Melissa, congratulations. You have the largest round of applause I've ever heard in this room. So there's something we can all agree on, and it's you've had an incredible career here covering the White House. So congratulations to you, and we hope you enjoy retirement. I'm sure you will. And everybody else in the room will be very jealous of you as you're enjoying your rest. All right, let's get to it. We have an individual in our new media seat today. His name is Tim Pool. He's a political commentator and a media entrepreneur with millions of followers, a very big platform. Currently hosts Timcast IRL, a daily
Man, this
news and
intersection
discussions show,
sucks.
and The Culture War, a weekly podcast exploring cultural and
Let's
political
see what
issues.
Robert Kennedy. Hey.
At Firestone Complete.
Firestone does not endorse me. I wish they did. If they want to, I'll take their
All right,
endorsement.
good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Kyle Diamanis, Deputy Commissioner for Human Foods at FDA. It's my honor and privilege to introduce to you the Commissioner of FDA, Dr. Marty Makary, a renowned
RFK
surgeon,
bans
scientist,
Nice, that's
researcher,
good.
and public policy expert. Dr. Makary was
Oh, wait, we're
confirmed.
going to go to this one.
Thank you, Governor Morrissey. Thank you, Speaker Schultz.
This is for the Democrat watchers. Robert Kennedy is a Democrat. You guys should like him.
Thank you to Dr. Mark Hyman, who's been my friend.
But now he joined the winning team, the Republican Trump team, Team MAGA. He joined the winning team, so You guys need to also.
And partner on these issues for over 20 years. Thanks, Vanieri, who's been an extraordinary leader. And then Marty McCary, I'm so grateful that you agreed to join the administration. And Jay Bhattacharya, will you guys come up here? And,
He has Parkinson's disease, that's why he talks like that, by the
we have an amazing team at HHS.
way. What the fuck? Look at these two
When
across
my
the street.
uncle was president in the 1960s, we had the healthiest people in the world. And one of the basic assumptions of our country was that because we were robust people, because we were vigorous, because we were tough, we had what my uncle called this beef jerky toughness that was responsible for our country being the land of the brave and the home of the free, the greatest industrial power in the world.
Do they just
The wealthiest
advertise for
country. We
beef
owned half the
jerky?
wealth on earth when my uncle was president, and part of that was because of the vigor of our society. And that's one of the reasons he started the Presidential Council on Physical Fitness, because he saw that he felt that Americans.
By the way, what you're listening to basically is about him putting those like red dye number whatever that causes cancer, not putting the dyes in the food for color.
Were getting soft and was going to steal from us
Look
and
at this
erode
stupid
all of our
bike lane
leadership,
shit,
our
man.
moral
Make the
authority, and our
sidewalks
values,
smaller.
and our role as an exemplary nation. And since his death, we've had this extraordinary chronic disease epidemic. When my uncle was president, 3% of American kids had chronic disease. Today, it's around 60%. And these are a broad category. The ones that Marty mentioned, like ADHD, the neurological disorders, ADD, ADHD, speech delay, language delay.
That's sad. The bike lanes got less potholes than the fucking regular lanes.
Tourette syndrome, narcolepsy, ASD, and autism. All of these are injuries that I never heard
Bet
of.
you a lot of people hit that.
They were not part of the
See
nomenclature.
that center barrier?
They weren't part of the
bike lane? I
dialogue.
guarantee you a
There
lot of
was
people
zero
hit that.
spent in this country
Especially that one
treating
right
chronic
there.
disease when my uncle was president. Today, it's about
people hit this
$1.8
one.
trillion annually.
And they've hit
It's
that one
bankrupting
too.
our nation. 74% of American kids cannot qualify for military service. Well, how are we going to maintain our global leadership with such a sick
What kind of place is
population?
that?
We have all these autoimmune diseases, these exotic diseases. And again, I never heard of juvenile diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, Crohn's disease,
What
and
the fuck do I
100
got on
others
there? A metal fucking plate at the
that were
top
just
left?
unknown when I was a kid. I never knew anybody with a peanut allergy. I never knew anybody with a food allergy. Why do 5 of my 7 kids have allergies? I never knew of anybody who had eczema. I knew of a very small number of children who had asthma, but
Here,
that is
here,
exploded
we'll
as
support
well
local
today.
small businesses. They got good food.
Our fertility is dropping dramatically. Teenagers in this country today have the same
Good tamales. They got
testosterone
really
levels as
good
6 and 8-year-old
tamales.
men.
Lazo's
Our
used to be
girls
that
are
blue
reaching
building they
puberty
went out
6
of
years
business.
early, from 10 to 14 years old. And this
Nice
is existential for our country. And we have to address it. And one of the, probably, when I met with, and I want to commend the food companies for working with us to achieve this agreement or this settlement. And when I went in a few months or about a month ago to meet with the food companies, I was talking with my staff about the